Services consulting engagement. Does your client have an IP-enabled or mobile environment that is state and federally compliant? Is your client aware of Kerry's Law and the Ray-Bombs Act and its impact for compliance? What are their current plans to protect their environment in the event a 911 call originated from a cell phone in their facility or on their property? For more information, contact us at www.911inform.com or at 833-333-1911. 911 Inform is a platinum sponsor of the Kerry Hunt Foundation, inspiring those enduring life-changing experiences to live a life with meaning and confidence.
That's our first one. Thank you, Fletch.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Much better with sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
I apologize. I forgot to turn that on. Okay. And Chuck, lastly, a word from our sponsor.
Okay, and I'll try to limit it to 60 seconds or under as well. So just a couple of quick housekeeping items. We have applications in for the board of the SCTC. We've got a few in, but we're still looking for some more. So those of you that are on the board are going to rerun. Make sure your application gets in. Anybody that's interested in serving on the board, go to the website and you will find an option to apply, or you can reach out to me or Steve or anybody on the board for help in that area. Want to let you know that we've decided that we're going to have a virtual conference this year. It's going to be very truncated. We're not going to be in San Diego. It'll probably be 2 afternoons. We're going to try to line up a keynote speaker. We'll have a consultant presentation or two, and then a real exciting VAC night. So there's going to be some fun, some excitement, probably some prizes and whatnot for the VAC night. I think it's around the middle, 15th of October. So stay tuned for that. We're working on that. Real quickly, I saw that Steve had highlighted an article that John Arnold wrote for No Jitter. One of the benefits of being a member of the SCTC is you get a chance to write an article and publish it in No Jitter. One of my goals 2 years ago, personally and professionally, was to do more public speaking, public writing, get more exposure, not just be some guy out there schlepping his product, but becoming more of an industry voice and a thought leader. This gives me the opportunity, and anybody in the SCTC, the opportunity to publish ideas, thoughts, much as John Arnold did. With that, oh, by the way, a new website, thanks to Cheryl Helm and Melissa on the marketing committee and Cheryl on infrastructure. Go to sctconsultants.org. It's still a work in progress, but major leaps and bounds over what it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Right.
So go ahead. Any other thoughts there? I heard somebody. Okay, so with that, I'm going to share my take off my share, and Melissa, it's all yours.
All right. So the first thing that I want everybody to know is if you want these slides, I'm happy to share them. So don't worry about having to take a bunch of notes or whatever. And I'm going to blast through them pretty fast. Steve is going to handle questions, and so we'll be working together as a team on that. So leveraging LinkedIn as a social media weapon. Oh, hang on. Sorry about that. My page down is not working. All right. So the first question is why, if we're all busy and our time is billable, why would you take time to even use social media? What would even be the point? So it lets you get exposure in the marketplace, perhaps increase traffic to your website, and also by interacting with people, you get market insights, and you may be able to find out what's on people's minds out there. So, sorry, I'm having trouble. If paste down doesn't work and the down arrow doesn't work, what does?
Mouse?
Right arrow.
Right arrow? Nope. All right. I'll
try return. How about a return?
I'll try it on the next one. All right. So what does it do for your practice? So the first thing is build awareness. You know, if people don't know about you, then obviously they can't become your customer. So just getting out there that you are what you know, that your business exists and that, you know, what you offer. Second is what Chuck was just talking about with communicate authority. So you know, if you're talking to people anymore, people are going to check you out. They're not just going to have a phone call with you or a video chat with you or whatever, and then say, yeah, we know everything we need to know about that person. So they're going to check you out. And so most of the time they're going to go either to your website or to social media to check you out. So you want to have something there for them to see that reinforces your marketing message and your essentially your knowledge and authority as a consultant. And then again, talking about engagement in social media, people comment, or you can see what they're interested in. Look at when you post something, you know, what's resonating out there. What are people looking at? What do they care about? So you get information about what's going on in the marketplace by participating in social media. And then the big thing is that it can increase your sales. So this is a slide, I've seen it attributed to Microsoft, although I never could find it anywhere. But basically what it talks about is how many contacts it takes from the time that you have a prospect to the time that they become a customer. And so I kind of did some research on this, and there's all kinds of wisdom about that, whether it's 8 contacts or in this case 12 or whatever, but definitely more than one. And so a contact, I even saw things where it went through, okay, so you call the company and you ask for, you know, the CIO, that's a contact. And then you get the CIO's admin, and then they send you somewhere else. I mean, like each one of these is a contact, even just to get to where you want to go. So by contact 4, almost 90% of salespeople have given up. So social media can be some of your contacts. It can fill in for some of this, you know, calling or emailing or whatever, because you're still out there and it's still making people aware of you and your presence. So it can fill in some of these contacts on the journey from prospect to customer. So rules to live by. Social media, I mean, I know you've probably heard stories of people who have just gotten fried on social media. They said something stupid and, you know, went viral. So rule number 1 is once you say it, you can't take it back ever. So don't say anything that you don't want to always be around and be attributed to you. I mean, that's just don't engage in controversial stuff. It just does not make sense. Number 2, offer value. So what I'm saying there is people will engage with you if you give them a reason to do that. So it can't be always about you, and it can't be buy from me, you know, come get this. It's got to be, okay, you offer them value, you show them why they should be engaging with you, and then they will. And rule number 3, attract your audience. So for all of us, we've got certain clients that we want to work with and some that we don't. So you want to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. And so for us, that may mean that you don't just address a technology, you know, technology as in the widest form of technology ever audience. You want to actually address people who are interested in communication technology, and clearly people that are, for most of our practices, that want to either cut expenses or they want to change their technology. I mean, you've got to, out of the whole technology space, we've got a narrower niche. So you want to attract people that actually would do business with you. Number 4, sort of like number 1, stay away from controversy. And number 5 is maintain consistency. If you post once a week, that's fine. Once a month, fine. Whatever it is, just keep doing it. Don't do it and then drop it. You'll lose your audience that way. So that was social media in general. This is more about specifically about LinkedIn. Why would you want to use that? Well, it is the business-to-business network. I mean, that's the reason people use LinkedIn. So Facebook and Twitter are more, and Instagram are more. There are brands that use those, no doubt, but they are typically business-to-consumer brands, whereas the business-to-business market really lives in LinkedIn. So that's sort of its niche in the social media world. You can, in LinkedIn, you can demonstrate some thought leadership. You can post your own content. I talk a little bit later in this presentation about a company page versus a personal page and what the differences are, but you can actually have a personal page and a company page. And HubSpot found that LinkedIn is 277% more effective in generating business-to-business leads than Twitter or Facebook. That's a big leap. So I think they were probably talking about paid advertising, but the point is that the audience is that in a business-to-business environment is at LinkedIn.
Wow.
Also at the very end of this, I give you resources, and I think all of my links that are here are in the resources slide.
Mm-hmm.
So should you have a company page or a personal page? What's the difference? Why does it matter? So a personal page really is just your profile, and you have connections with that. If you have a company page, then that page has followers. So connections versus followers. If you have a connection, they automatically follow you, but people have to actually elect to follow a page or a company. There's a minor exception here where if you publish an article, and we'll talk a little bit later about articles versus posts, and you allow it, people can follow your articles and essentially follow your company that way. If you want to run ads on LinkedIn, you have to do it through a page. You can't do it through a personal profile. And pages provide a lot better analytics than your personal profile. And the analytics may be the reason that you would want to consider a company page. Come on. All right. So if you're on LinkedIn already and you want to look at using it as a tool, the first thing to look at is look at your profile and optimize your profile. That's step one before you do anything else. Make sure that if people come to check you out, they see a very professional a profile that gives them the information that they're looking for and that encourages them to keep doing business with you. So you don't want a blank profile. In our case, as business owners, we don't want a resume profile. We don't want to say, I worked here and here and here and here and here. Show off profile. The all about me, I've won all these awards, show off or self-indulgent profile. So these are the don'ts. The profile ought to be, the big do is from a client's point of view. If they're checking you out, what can you do for them? The oh, what's in it for me thing. So absolutely everything in your profile needs to be created and be geared to what the clients are looking for and what they get out of it. It needs to be professional, obviously. It should be targeted. Again, we talked about attracting your audience. So you need to basically say who your audience is. It can show your personality. There's no reason for it to be like grim or restrictive. It definitely can show your personality. And it should include a call to action, and we'll talk more about that. So first of all, your profile's picture should be a picture. I mean, if you look at these, you don't get a feeling for who this person is at all. You just like, do you want to deal with them? I don't know. I don't know anything about them. Here's one that is too casual. It's just not professional. And we know this guy's a family guy, but you know, we still don't know anything about him professionally. So make sure that you have a smiling headshot. Next thing is talk about your background image. This, if you use a default background, it's just a missed opportunity. You can use this for branding or a call to action. So this guy doesn't have a picture and he's using a default background. He also has 500 plus connections, so I don't know what he's doing to get connections. People are still connecting with him, but those are missed opportunities. This is a great example of branding. And this is an example of using the background section for a call to action. So this has got the phone number and an email address. And then it's also got just a quick company logo that says what they do. So good use of that space. Next, your headline. What do you do here? So I guess the template that I see a lot is I help who do what. So I help businesses with over, I don't know, $2 million in sales, increase productivity, whatever. But basically what you're doing is you're answering the what's in it for me. So this is kind of an example of how it's done wrong. So this Kelly Forness, nutrition and wellness, health coach. What does she do for me? I don't know. Is she going to change my diet? Is she going to make me exercise? Is she going to, I don't know, tell me to do yoga? I don't know anything. I mean, this doesn't tell me anything about why I would want to engage with her. This guy offers industry-leading white label HIPAA-compliant cloud fax solutions for resale. Okay, we know what he does. I either want to engage with him or I don't, but I know the answer to that question here. And this one, again, going back to this profile again, a top publicity expert and PR mentor, works with small biz owners, authors, speakers, and experts who want to be their own publicist. One-on-one publicity and book marketing strategy consultations. Get free email tips twice a week. Well, if you want any of that, you know what she can do for you, and you know she can help you. So, and if you don't, you skip over her, but that's fine. You're not wasting your time, and you're not wasting hers. So it's very specific in calling out who her audience is and what she can do for them. And that's what that headline ought to do for everybody there. So going on to the...
Yeah, so just to pause for a quick second.
Yeah.
So there's been some questions in the chat area around, do we have to pay for a company page or not? And
no.
How important is a company page in addition to your personal page?
So company pages are free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really up to you if you want to do a company page or not. I think when we get to the analytics part, you'll see whether you want to do it or not. I mean, I think the big thing is the analytics.
Okay, and while we're here,
yeah.
I have a question from Hamid, and that is, do you have someone that works with you prepare and post your LinkedIn items, or do you do it personally?
I use a tool called SocialBee, and but there are a lot of tools out there. Hootsuite is one. So there's a company called Sumo, and they actually find software and promote software for companies. And so they have promotions. And you should check them out. Check out AppSumo, AppSumo. And they have all kinds of software options for small businesses. A lot of them are marketing focused. And that's where I found this. I think I got it for $29. And it's a lifetime purchase. And I basically just go in and schedule my posts and tell it when to do it and different topics, and it does it for me.
Wow.
So,
Yeah,
but Hootsuite's a real common one.
Yeah, I've dealt with Hootsuite. Yeah, and that also can be combined using it as a Twitter feed as well, if I remember right.
Right,
yeah.
And Facebook as well. And I think you can do Instagram. I think it depends on the tool, but most of them will work with at least those 5. I think SocialBee, I could hook up 10 feeds. I just don't have 10 feeds to hook up.
Yeah, and then there's another question around, any worry about spam being put into, with your contact information in the header, do you think?
That is definitely a concern. I actually find that I personally get more spam from my website than I do from social media. But yeah, it can happen for sure. I haven't found it to be overwhelming.
Here's a tip on spam. Instead of having text on the page that can
make a
easily, make it a picture, because then the bots can't pick it up as easily.
That's
Although
really
they are doing OCR though to get around that. But
yeah, they're smarter. But apparently, I'm not important enough to spam. I'm not Jeff Bezos or anybody. Anybody would care.
Hey, Melissa, again, sorry, just another question. So can you just repeat those tools again? You got Hootsuite,
The one I use is called Social Bee, and I think the website is socialbee.io, which is a little weird, but
So is it BEE or B, just the letter B?
BEE. So
Okay,
Social
so-
BEE.
IO, okay. Okay, and then you mentioned Hootsuite, and then you also mentioned AppSumo, correct?
AppSumo, so AppSumo, and that's a place where you can find all different kinds of applications for your business that are typically marketing focused, and they have promotions where they put them on sale for ridiculously low prices.
Excellent. That's
All
great.
right.
Okay, going. Sorry, and listen,
Yeah.
don't rush it. Okay, if we go over, no worries.
Well, we may. I have a gazillion slides here.
No, this is great stuff. Thank you.
So in the About section, which is the next section after your headline section on LinkedIn, what you want to do is talk about, again, client focused. What are you going to do for them? How do you help them reach their goals? You want to have a call to action. And a call to action could be a link to your website. It could be a phone number. It could be your email, whatever you want them to do. If they're going to contact you, what's the next step? Tell them. Don't make them figure it out. Tell them what they need to do. Use short paragraphs. You don't want a lot of long, wordy things. Keep it short and sweet and bullet pointed or headlined or something. Make it easy to read. Call out who you want to work with. So, you know, is your market IT professionals? Is it, you know, I mean, some people market to business owners. What is, you know, so let people know who you want to work with, and then what pain points you address and that you help them solve. Talk about your differentiators, and keywords are words that are used in search. So for example, if you think people will search on, I don't know, voice over IP, then use VoIP or voice over IP in your language. Don't stuff it, but think about what people would search on, and then use those words in your About section so that if they are searching on that, they find you. Here's a sample call to action. It's a template. It may or may not work for you, but just something to start with. Work from there.
So let me pause for a section, Melissa.
Sure.
So how,
yeah.
who do you want to connect with, right? So people want to connect with me all the time. That happens to me.
Right.
But I mean, how do you pick and choose who you want to connect to?
So LinkedIn has a search capability, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but you can search, and I've got some slides later that show, you can search by, depending on the tools that you use, and so I'll cover that later. Let's bookmark that and I'll come to it.
Okay, no, that's fine.
So in your featured section, which is the next section down after About, you can, again, this is a missed opportunity for a lot of people. A lot of people don't put anything in this section. You can provide links to your most popular content. So you've got choices on what you can feature. So this is a screenshot. You can feature posts, you can feature articles, you can have links, or you can upload photos, documents, and presentations. So definitely put something there that shows, again, demonstrates thought leadership or shows your competence and your expertise. So on mine, I have a link to a video I did. I think I change it periodically, but change links to podcasts that I've been on, or video, or articles that I've written. So it used to, you can actually put posts on LinkedIn as well, so they can see a post, and then that post can take them to your website or whatever. But definitely take advantage of this featured section. It's something that's relatively new. It didn't exist when I first set up my profile many years ago, and it's something that if you put your profile up and you just don't pay attention to it, you may not know it's there. And then there's an activity section. And the point here is that your activity is visible. So you can control to some extent what's shown, but if you don't do anything, that's just going to take your 4 most recent things that you have done on LinkedIn. So if you commented on somebody else's post, or if you posted an article or whatever, it's going to show these things. So if people are checking you out, they can go down under this activity and they can do a show more and they can see more of your activity. So again, if you are doing things that are controversial or you're in a, just be aware. Again, the rule, if you don't want it on the front page of the New York Times, don't put it on social media, would be something to look at here. Again, they can find out more about you by looking through your activity. But you can have some control as far as what you put there. We'll talk a little bit later about the difference between a post and an article. But you can feature a post you can have some control over what's in this activity section here. So take a look at that. You want everything that's in your profile to reinforce your message that you're professional, that you're competent, that you're experienced, that you know what you're doing. So again, just make sure that the things that show up as people scroll down reinforce that message. So then the experience section is more of the longer detailed section. And again, it's compressed, but there's a show more button that they can look at. So this is where you put more of the details about who you are and explain. When you talk about your services, do it from the customer perspective, how you help them. Give links so that they can reach you. You want to tie, if you show previous experience and previous jobs, how does that help you now? What was important about that? Not just, you know, I was a salesperson and sold phone systems for somebody. Like when I was a salesperson and sold phone systems, I learned, you know, the details of, you know, how vendors sell phone systems. And now I use that to help my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Again, keep your messaging consistent, and you may want to include case studies or testimonials here. So
go ahead, finish your thought. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, this is, if people get down and they're reading this part, they're pretty interested in you.
Fantastic.
Or they wouldn't be there.
Exactly. So a chat question, Sales Navigator, do you have much experience with that? Have you seen if it's got, you know, strong capabilities?
I put a pin in that one. I'm coming to that.
Oh.
Let me get to the profile real quick, and then we'll talk about the rest of this stuff.
Okay.
So the last part of your profile, we're almost there, are skills and endorsements. So why do you bother? And this is the reason. You get more profile views. You may rank higher in search results. And again, if people think you're skilled, then it's just more of a signal that you are proficient, that you are an expert. So it does make a difference. There's research that says that dealing with that is worth the effort. All right. So
how have your results been so far for you, Melissa?
In terms of
results for, you know, possible, you know, prospects, opportunities, new clients, things like that.
So
or is it more a presence thing, you know?
Yeah, it's more of a presence thing for me right now. My next step in my own social media is working more at getting, I have a lot of salespeople that want to connect with me.
Yeah.
Most of my connection requests are from salespeople types. And
Yeah.
so I am actively working on getting more potential customers to connect with me.
And how are you doing that? That's a good question, or that's a good comment.
Okay, so what I've done is actually I use Enterprise Connect for that a lot. So I, for example, took screenshots. I did a presentation at Enterprise Connect, back to Chuck's thing about thought leadership and exposure that you get as a member here. And so I took screenshots of everybody who had signed up for the presentation because it was something you could do in the tool. And now I'm going back and finding them on LinkedIn, and I am asking them to connect. So I'm I'm checking them out on LinkedIn. If they're not a salesperson, then I'm asking them to connect. So I'm actually looking for people who work for end user companies and connecting with them on LinkedIn.
Yes, and just aside on Enterprise Connect, it was very interesting this year because we as speakers, including myself, were able to see and capture all of the attendees in our particular sessions. So, you know, for everybody that's here, that was one of the benefits for you and I, you know, amongst
Right.
others, you know, from SCTC that were also speakers. So yeah, very powerful. Because
But I
normally
think,
normally we don't, you know, get a list of the speakers that are at a live event, right? I mean, that's the reality.
well, but by registering, so even last year when it was a live event, I downloaded the app, and so not everybody participates in it. They have, I'm sure, a lot of people who attend that don't actually set up a profile or make themselves visible. But what I did is I actually, on that app, you could search by job title. So I think I looked at people who were IT, telecom, I can't remember now the other options, but relevant to me looked like end users. And I screenshotted all of those guys and women, and then tried to find them on LinkedIn, and then send them connection requests. And it was interesting because I would send out I'd talk later about how to send a connection request, but I basically was like, I was a speaker at Enterprise Connect. I noticed you were there. I'd love to connect with you. And I'll bet probably, I'd have to go back and look, about 70–75% of the people I sent an invitation to actually eventually connected. Some of them, it took them 6 months, but eventually they actually gave me a connection. So you don't have to be a speaker to do that. If you just take advantage of the apps at conferences anymore, there's a lot of ways to see who's there.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, so in recommendations, again, just the power of referrals. I mean, how many of us for the longest time, just most of our business came from referrals. So recommendations are kind of an online referral. Referrals show up, if someone refers you, then it will show up in their profile that they did a referral for you. And the information is also included in LinkedIn search. So getting those recommendations is beneficial in more than one aspect for LinkedIn. All right, so now we're through with the profile. You have an outstanding profile. People are going to come to see that, and they're going to say, wow, I need to do business with this person. So now it's time to look at your settings. So you go into your page. So this is just a screenshot of my page. Click on me, and there's that down arrow there. And then it brings up this list here. And this is my personal profile, not my company page. So profile, not page.
By the way, nice job.
Oh, thank you. So you want to go to settings and privacy here, because what all social media does, you have in this section of any tool, it will notify you when people are looking at you or whatever. So you want to let them know what you want to, who can see what, and what you want to be notified about. So first of all, when you come up with that, when you pull up that settings and privacy, you've got different things. You've got account information, you've got privacy, ads, which won't matter if it's personal, and then communications. So look through these privacy settings and figure out who can see what. You can, who can see your email, any of that. So you have control over how much people can see. And then communications. So in this setting, this will tell you who can reach you, at what point do you get notified of something, and how are you notified. So for example, I have mine set up where I get an email if someone mentions me, or if they comment on something I've posted, I'll get an email notifying me that that happened. So this is important because most people, I don't know, some people have notifications set up. So if you're engaging with them on social media, many of them will get notification that that's happening. So let's say that there is a CIO at a company that you really want to get into, and the CIO's on LinkedIn. Then you can go into LinkedIn and you can ask them to link. If they don't link, maybe they publish an article. You could go in, and if they allow comments, you could comment on their article, and they may get notification on that. So now they've seen you, and you keep engaging with them, then you stay on their radar. So it's a way of engaging with people by basically following them and commenting and stuff like that. So most people that are heavy into social media are notified when things happen on their posts and on their articles and stuff like that. So just be aware of that and use that to your advantage, and then set yours up to where you know when people are trying to communicate with you. So go through those settings and see what makes sense to you.
So Melissa, I have another question. So when people want to, connect with you, which ones, from your style or your vantage point, do you accept? Which ones do you turn away?
I have started turning away people that I feel like are just, there are salespeople out there that
Right.
basically, they are running a numbers game. So,
Yeah.
so they want to report to their boss, I got 20 more connections on LinkedIn today. I don't want to be connected with any of those. They're not doing anything. And so if there's a salesperson that is selling a technology that's relevant to me, or they're working at a company that's relevant to me, I will connect with them. But if they're just somebody I've never heard of, a company I don't care about, I don't take those connections. So, and I'm trying to connect, like I said, with end users and people that are attending conferences that, are at least signaling some interest in the technology, and perhaps they're in the market, and that's the reason that they're taking the time to go to a conference. So when you're wanting to connect with people, obviously you're trying to connect with people that'll essentially benefit you in the long run. But you want to personalize your request. What do you have in common with them? If you've met, remind them that I met you at the Enterprise Connect conference.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is the same etiquette. If you could even go to a party, you don't want to be the guy that's the insurance salesman that comes up and says, "Hi, Steve, nice to meet you. I'm selling insurance. You need any personal or life insurance?" I mean, how annoying is that? So you get to know people before you ask for things. Give them value before you ask something from them. It's the same etiquette as if it was in person. It's just as annoying to connect with somebody and then get a thing that says, here's my new thing, sign up for it. No.
Yeah, so then there's another little concern that once people connect with you, once you've accepted, they now can connect with your network. And then you can, they now have things in common. So again, I think you always, from my perspective, I've become a little bit more cautionary over a period of time about just clicking on yes for all of them,
Yeah, exactly. I definitely don't click on yes for all of them. Okay, so now let's talk about search. So this is a search field from the free LinkedIn tool that you get with your profile. So you can go to LinkedIn and search, and you can search on people, and then you get these filters. So this is what you can search on for free, essentially. So, and you can also search on jobs, content, companies, schools, groups, or events. So this is the people search. But there are search tools. LinkedIn Sales Navigator gives you a lot more fields to search on. So you can actually go into LinkedIn and see an example of it, but it will give you job titles. It gives you, I'm trying to think of some of the more relevant things, industry, job title, company size, a lot more on your geography as far as what you can do with it. So there's a lot more power in the search with Sales Navigator. So this one's the free search. Sales Navigator gives you a lot more. So
have you played with Sales Navigator at all personally?
I have. I have not paid for it, but I've looked at it from a trial perspective.
Uh-huh.
The other thing that it does, and I actually will cover it here in just a couple more slides.
Okay.
So this is a video and an article that I thought really, and again, they're in the resources section. This guy, I think the actual title was 4 LinkedIn Lead Generation Strategies That Actually Work. So connect and nurture is kind of what I was talking about, where you find somebody that you want to connect with, and you connect with them, and then you maybe message them and you send them an article, or comment on their stuff or whatever. I mean, so you're basically watching them and interacting with them. A referrals Rolodex is more about the referral strategy. Content marketing is where you're posting stuff to show your thought leadership and expertise. And then there's paid advertising. And so this article and video go a lot more into each of those strategies. So I will say that SCTC did some paid advertising for LinkedIn, and it is expensive. And for us, because we were looking at a market of potential consultant members, we had a really small market. So the paid advertising was not a great strategy for SCTC as an organization. Right. But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't work for an individual whose market is IT professionals, for example. Then that's a lot bigger market. So
at one point you did a search, right, for SCTC for how many consultants were in our space on LinkedIn, right, out of the 500 million. And the number was pretty significant, if I remember, right, Melissa?
Well, it depends on the search term. And that's something that, like if you searched on phone consultants, then it actually gave you a hit of everybody who included their phone number somewhere in their profile. So the term was like 5 million, but obviously there's not 5 million consultants out there. So if you're doing a search on LinkedIn, be sure that you search a couple of different ways and make sure it isn't picking up something that really isn't relevant. So I think we searched on independent consultant and like UC consultant, VoIP consultant, telecom expense management. We did a whole bunch of different terms, and we'll give you with different results. So definitely play with those search terms. Don't just use one. You will probably get skewed results. But I would definitely check out these articles. I think that as an overview of your different strategies, this is as good as it gets. All right. So
listen, just a quick pause here. We got 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
So, feel free to kind of, wrap it up for this week, and we'll continue next week, because I know that you have still a lot of content to go, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
If you can't do next week, let me know. We'll work through that.
I can do next week. Is that bump Tom? Do we need to?
Yeah, we'll bump Tom. That's okay. We love Tom, but this is a hot topic. Is that
all
okay,
right.
Tom? We do it all the time anyway, so go ahead.
For Melissa, absolutely.
Aw, Tom. All right. So this actually is a good stopping point here. So are there other questions or?
I'm looking. Chuck identified the fact that, if you can find something in common with a prospect, maybe you went to the same school, maybe you're from the same town or the same area, find something in common always with somebody, kind of to break the ice.
And this does that. It actually, if you look at it, it takes stuff from my profile. So it's got industry stuff that it's picking up from my profile, location stuff. I'm not sure why it picked California, but it's got Kansas City. So SCTC's page is tied to my profile, so that may be why. But it actually gave me some regions, and so it's got schools. So there are, and down here, school is a searchable thing too. So, and you can search on job titles, so you could search on CIO or whatever. So even the free tool is pretty useful. And then Sales Navigator gives you a lot more granularity into job titles and stuff like that.
Steve, this is Chuck. Maybe next week you could put a poll together. We did sort of an informal poll here on the chat line, which is, of all the people on the call, how many of them are on LinkedIn? I'd like to think it's 100%. How many of them are paying for premium? How many of them use Sales Navigator? Be interesting to know what our peers are doing or not doing.
I will do that. Excellent.
It would also be interesting to hear if there are any success stories in generating business out of LinkedIn.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're all, inclined to definitely hear about that.
Yep.
Okay.
Melissa,
and,
how many hours a week do you spend on LinkedIn?
Not very many, because of that tool that I have. So what I do is I have you know, I'm going through stuff and I'll see something that's interesting and I'll actually mark it. I'll flag it basically to feed into my social media tool to be posted. So it's pretty well automated. I can show you that tool next week if you're interested. There are other tools like it, but and I don't have any slides on that, but I can definitely kind of give you a tour of that tool and show what it does for me, because it really, I don't spend a lot of time. I check my notifications and I get emails on things that are actually are bigger items that I should be aware of, but I don't spend hours and hours on it.
Love to see the tool, because I don't think a lot of us have time to spend hours on LinkedIn, but we do want to post more stuff. So the tool will be, I think, it'd be very useful for this group.
Yeah, I absolutely will do a tool tour.
A tool tour. There you go. Perfect. Love it.
Roberta here. I just have a quick question for next week as well. To talk about the differences of having a personal profile versus a corporate profile.
Yeah.
Those of us that have multiple people.
Yes, and I actually, we're about two-thirds of the way through the slides. I do cover that. So.
Great, thanks.
We'll be covered next week. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Let's have a round of applause for Melissa. I think this is great content, and we'll continue that next week.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Melissa. All right. So again, stay tuned. We'll continue this next week. And thanks, everybody, for joining. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
As usual, Steve.
Thanks, Melissa.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Anytime. Bye-bye.
Good job.
Hey, Steve, how do we want to do the slides, getting out